I am your host, James Yoder. We're coming off a loss. We're almost 48 hours, roughly 43 hours after the pretty disappointing performance in Michigan, losing to Oklahoma on the road. We are going to talk some stuff on today's show. You got a new head coach, interim head coach for Michigan football. I'm sure most of you saw that announced earlier today. Also, could talk some overreaction, just things I'm thinking about. I know a lot of you guys are thinking about. Give you my take on players, coaching staff, and more. And just talk a little rumors, a lot of injuries out there, a lot of lineup shaking up going into this week's game against Central Michigan. I want you guys to go down in the comments to start today's show, right where it says down here below me, and comment a one-word reaction to the loss to Oklahoma on Saturday night. Mine, sad. Jack, you got one? Jack was going to say sad too, where we're reading each other's mind. Let's talk about the new interim head coach for this program. Look, Bruce Feldman, who is at The Athletic and New York Times, who owns The Athletic and Fox Sports. I can't remember where he was a few years ago when he wrote some college football book, but he profiled Poggi and really in a lot of ways, his high school stuff, and then gave him a lot of credit for writing Jim Harbaugh's approach with people. Harbaugh maybe a little too rigid, didn't have all the interpersonal skills, especially when things weren't going his way. And Poggi almost became like a chief of staff to Harbaugh, leading in that 2021 season into the 2022 season. And then he wanted to go out, be a head coach for himself, went from associate head coach at Michigan over to being the head coach at Charlotte, the University of Charlotte. Didn't work out for him, fired before he even hit his second year. And let's talk some more about Biff Poggi, but I do want to ask you guys, if you've yet to do so, to follow me on Twitter, a.k.a. KAKAX. We're at 17,825 followers. I think I'm an Oklahoma influencer. I complimented him. That's all it is. Complimented. Nice stadium, good people, cool place. And I got like 600 followers from Oklahoma fans and 7,000 likes on a tweet from, I think it was Saturday night or Sunday morning, Jack. So maybe Oklahoma Football Report, you could take the reins from me. Go do your own thing, Jack. Take this momentum. But for Michigan fans watching today, I'm still with you guys. It's at James Yoder. It's down in the comments and the description. I think we're going to put it at the end of the first paragraph of today's description. Click on that. Follow me on Twitter, on X. That's where news breaks first. So anything happens in Michigan football, you want my instant thoughts, want to reply. I'm always getting back and forth with people on Twitter. Go ahead and follow me at James Yoder. So Biff Poggi, his son played at Michigan. He was a legendary head coach, also like a legendary investment guy, Jack. So his, he's in his 60s, mid 60s, late 60s. I'm not sure his exact age, but he was on Wall Street in the 80s, like right out of college, started his own hedge fund and had a couple big hits one after another to the point where he was a multi 10+ millionaire. Some people even said as much as like $50 million. When pursued his passion, right? In his like early to mid 30s, decided to become a high school football coach, head coach for 19 years, won 13 state championships in the state of Maryland at the powerhouse. It's name of it, Gilman School, 1996 to 2015, and then goes to Michigan for 1 year in 2016, right? His son is playing there, and then goes back, starts his own school, starts his own program, I should say, at St. Francis Academy. They didn't really have any sports programs, a smaller school. He takes all that hype, that hoopla, goes there, gets guys from all around the state, all around the DMV area, guys like Blake Corum, right? Guys like Derek Moore, guys like Nikhil Hill-Green, guys like Oki Iobi, whoever his name is now, the five-star who went to Alabama for 3 years, transferred to Michigan, then leaving Michigan after 1 year, went and played last year at Charlotte. So this is one of the great high school football coaches of all time, now taking the reins for Michigan for a couple games. I'm excited to see. I think it's a good time for Sherrone Moore to take a step away because he can't get really blamed for what happens as much this weekend against Central Michigan, or if Michigan were not to play well next week at Nebraska. So rough going, right? 3-9, 3-7. Didn't really shake out for him as a head coach, and he's back to where I think he wants to be, and that's kind of the right-hand man to the head coach of the University of Michigan football team. So there's your interim head coach. I think a lot of people speculated that would be it, but didn't really know until today. Going back to this game on Saturday, people were talking about my post-game video, Jack. I put it on YouTube Shorts, and we put it on our Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook page. Hey, what are you talking about? Michigan was right in the game. What are you talking about? They got dominated. Yeah, they did get dominated, but they had the ball down 1 score, down 8 points in the fourth quarter. That doesn't that's not a blowout loss. I mean, I know they didn't score, right? They had to, give the ball back over to Oklahoma. Oklahoma went down, ended up kicking a field goal, and Michigan just didn't really threaten. But when you play as bad as you did, I think that you find yourself, that's a good place to be in the fourth quarter with the ball, with a chance to tie the game up. Maybe things shake out. I've seen 100 games, 1,000 games in my football fan career that team plays like crap the entire game, and then all of a sudden they get an opportunity, team doesn't put them away, they get a score, they end up winning it late or winning it in overtime. We'll talk more about this game here in a second, but I do want to remind you guys that Marlon Klein did not play on Saturday, right? All the blog boys said he was playing, or they just don't comment on things like this, and there were quite a few haters and losers on social media. No one else reporting this. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about, right? I'm not going to say that I was searching for this information. I'll tell you exactly what happened. Someone DM'd me on Twitter on Thursday morning, and said, hey, have you heard about Marlon Klein being injured? Any update there? I'm like, I haven't heard that. I'm not really trying to get scoops like that these days, but we'll see. Texted one person. Literally got back the information, made a YouTube short about it, and did pretty well. 18,000 views, did hundreds of thousands on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. So if you want that kind of scoop, no BS, no spin, and no, the competition sometimes is communist media. They only do what the Michigan football program tells them they are allowed to do. If that's the kind of media you're looking for, this is not the place. Subscribe, youtube.com/Michigan TV. John Mateer played well. Played a lot better than I thought he was going to be, and I do think he has solidified himself as of now as one of the Heisman frontrunners, right? Top 4 or 5, maybe higher for the Heisman Trophy. But he's not going to just, he's not going to stop here. They've got a brutal schedule. I think I saw every single SEC opponent they've got the rest of the way is ranked or something like that. Or it's crazy, their schedule. It's not like a total murderer's row, but you're playing like 7 or 8 more ranked teams, 9 ranked teams down the stretch for this program. He actually made the biggest impact with his legs, getting out of the scrum, getting a few yards, scoring a couple touchdowns, moving, shifting to the side, just throwing off platform, especially that one when they were down inside like the 10-15 yard line. They went deep, got the ball past midfield, because he was able to slide out and just throw an absolute dart down the field. Certainly played better than Bryce Underwood, right? There's no even Michigan fanboy in the world that could argue that Bryce Underwood had a good game or that he outplayed or was even in the same league at this time as Oklahoma's transfer quarterback from Washington State. And that's just is what it is. I think Bryce Underwood clearly had a terrible game, and if he has many more like that, this Michigan football team is going to be lucky to go 500. So not a great performance. Offense, I thought, stunk. We're going to talk about that in a couple seconds, and a couple coaches that I think are maybe on the hot seat with the fans and potentially the head coach himself. But I want to know from you guys one more time. I asked you at the top of the show, give me a one-word reaction. I said sad. Jack said sad. Give me yours down in the comments, a one-word reaction to Michigan's kind of just, underwhelming loss against Oklahoma on Saturday. Next up, we are going to talk about 2 or more, you never know, 2 or more Michigan position coaches that I believe, if they're not in the hot seat yet, they are right. The heat seat is warming up. You got in the car, you started up, you press heated seats, and they're just getting warming up. If you don't perform or do something about it, we are going to see what happens then. Before we do, though, I want to give you a little take on the University of Oklahoma. I have been to a lot of college football stadiums. I've been to 4, 5, 6 Rose Bowls now. I've been to a couple of 4 national championship games. I've been to all the California schools, USC and Cal and Stanford, and I've been to Ohio State. I've been to all these different schools. I think Oklahoma's up there. I've always kind of put Notre Dame, Michigan, the Rose Bowl as my best 3, kind of driveway to driveway, the whole experience, the whole day, pregame, postgame, in the stadium, the traffic, everything. Tell you what, Oklahoma's right up there, Jack. Oklahoma is right up there. It is a first-class organization. The people are just preposterously nice. My wife was caught off guard. People kept coming up to her and be like, hey, good luck today. And she's like, what are they talking about? Good luck. I thought they were Oklahoma fans. And then people were like, how's Norman treating you? And it didn't click in her head right away because some people talk with an accent. She's like, I don't know. Who's that? And I'm like, actually, the city. We're in Norman, Oklahoma. It's like, oh. And she's like, that's like the 3rd person who's asked me how I'm liking Norman so far. I'm like, crazy. Very nice people. Very gracious in the stands, and the game day environment is just awesome. There's with a high profile game like that, there certainly was no shortage of people. You could find parking, right? Every day, like almost like 2 or 3 blocks around the stadium were just kind of like cut off. It's not like there's major intersections going through left and right of the stadium like at Michigan Stadium, like at Ohio Stadium and others. And you could just walk around all this tailgating, and there's a strip of bars right next to the stadium. They've got the entire street closed off. They've got people on the rooftops hanging out before the game. They've got food vendors in the streets so you can get yourself a bite to eat, etc. It was just honestly a first-class experience. You get in, the fan base is engaged. They've got all their traditions. It is top to bottom up there with a Michigan night game or Michigan-Ohio State game, a Notre Dame game, a Rose Bowl game like against Alabama. First class if you ever have the chance. And I know Michigan's not going to play there, at least in the regular season, maybe in the playoffs. But if you do get a chance, I would highly, highly recommend Oklahoma to be part of your sports bucket list. You saw those photos. Really quick, go back, Jack, if you can. The one of me. I did want to point this out. I put this on Twitter, put this somewhere, a couple places on social media. I did wear the velour Michigan football track pimp suit, wildly warm during the day, but didn't actually mind it once the sun went down. Didn't really wear the jacket a ton, but I did put it on kind of when we were walking back to the car. I'm burning it. It's 0-1. I'm burning it. I'm going to burn it. Maybe I'll videotape it. $150 right down the tube for that national championship pimp velour suit. All right, Grant Newsome, the offensive line coach, second year as offensive line coach, former tight end coach. He, to me, is on the hot seat, one of two assistant coaches we're going to talk about here on the show. He's not performing, right? He was tight ends coach under Colson Loveland. I think the raw talent and the abilities of Colson Loveland maybe mask the actual type of coach that that Grant Newsome is, taking over for Sherrone Moore as offensive line coach. I will talk more about what needs to happen and why I think he is on the hot seat, at least from the fans' perspective, coming up in a second. But did want to let you guys know the shirts that we talked about a couple weeks back, or last week I believe it was, the Michigan football Jordan Hale shirt is on sale, still on sale, chatsports.com/Hale shirt. Scroll down to the description. It'll be the second paragraph of the description. You can get both links. $24.29. Sizes small to XL still available. And then this is the one I bought here, the Sideline Players Sideline shirt. I guess it's like for injured players, I don't know. Or they warm up in these? Who knows? The official sideline shirt of this program, only $28.79. I mean, normally $65. They've got those small, medium, large, and XL. I think the Hale one's in double XL. This one's in XL is what it is, $28.79. The price is fluctuating. It's going up. It's going down. Don't pay $65. Go down, click one of those links. Get a Michigan football Hale or Sideline Players shirt today. We're always looking for the best deals and hooking you guys up. So Grant Newsome. I don't know what you can say about what about this coach, what about this person qualifies him for the job that he currently has. The Michigan offensive line is simply not performing. If you look at the Pro Football Focus grades, Andrew Sprague and Evan Link, right, the left tackle, right tackle, actually played much better than everybody else. All right, so I know I've been on Evan Link for quite a while. He graded out the same as Sprague, 72.8 on Pro Football Focus. Now, where the problem was in the center of that line, Brady Norton, Giovanni El Hadi, who's injured. I'm not sure if you're going to see him this week. Nathan Afobe, the left guard along with Norton. Those guys all played terrible. They played really, really bad. Greg Crippen, 55.9 Pro Football Focus overall score. Brady Norton, 49.4. Nathan Afobe, 50.1. Giovanni El Hadi, 62. Freshman Blake Fraser, 60. Lawrence Hatter, the transfer, 57.8. And Jake Guarnera, 60 as well. I mean, this offensive line, it played bad. Bryce Underwood didn't have time to throw. Other than Justice Haynes' 75-yard run at the beginning of the second half, he had 19 other carries for 50 yards, right? So 125 yards, 75 on one. So he's getting 2.5, 3 yards, not even 3 yards per carry the rest of the game. The offensive line is not cutting it. There's been a noticeable decline since Sherrone Moore has taken on the extra responsibilities of being the damn head coach at the University of Michigan. And one more thing, just to make sure I'm making my point on Grant Newsome. Maybe two things right quick. Number one is he has no experience outside of Michigan football. He came here as a player, got injured, stayed on as a student assistant, and then grad assistant, finally got a position coach at tight ends coach 4 or 5 years ago, and then right-hand man to Sherrone Moore. Sherrone was on offensive line. He was tight ends. Then Sherrone goes to OC, etc. And that's what happens. He gets there. So he has no experience outside of Michigan football to qualify him for this job. The other thing about him is they had to bring in an adult supervision, right? They had to bring in Juan Castillo, who was here about 8-9 years ago with Harbaugh for a year as an analyst, being an offensive line coach for number, decades in the NFL and college football, most recently with UCLA. They had to bring him in, and I thought it was pretty interesting, Jack. I listened to the official Michigan post-game radio show. They put it on podcast after the New Mexico game, and Justice Haynes was asked about the offensive line, giving the push, being able to break off all those long runs, etc. He said, and this was shocking to me, and had we been able to do shows last week, I would have talked about it. He said, yeah, these guys really love playing for Coach Castillo. He gets them in there in the zone. He gets shows them what they need to do. Coach Castillo is just a real motivator. And then Jason Avant, who is a former Eagles player, former Michigan wide receiver, it's like, what about Coach Castillo? And they continued on. Not a single mention from the new running back that comes in, only has 7 months experience with this program, about what Grant Newsome is doing. It was all about Juan Castillo, which might tell you maybe we're going to blame Castillo a little more. I don't know, but it sure seems like they had to bring in an adult supervision to make sure that the kid, he's in his mid to late 20s, isn't messing things up anymore. So Grant Newsome, in my opinion, on the hot seat. Grade him so far in the 13 games last year, 2 games this year, 15 games he's been Michigan's offensive line coach. A, B, C, D, or F. I'm giving him a D. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. How about Ron Bellamy? Former Michigan wide receiver. Was never really a star here. Was never, a guy who was a superstar, but was a good program player. Seemed to be a pretty good guy. But what qualifies him for the role that he had, right? If you remember, he was actually hired 5 years ago to come in and, or 4 years ago, whatever it was, to come in and be Michigan's wide receivers coach. And then Michigan got another coach to come in, and I'm forgetting who it was at the exact moment. But it was like, oh, well, we got to give somebody else the wide receiver job because we got to fill out the staff. And sure enough, they moved him to safeties coach, which he had no experience coaching, right? Was a high school head coach for 11 years, right? A high-level high school coach, right? West Bloomfield put out a lot of big-time players, Donovan Edwards. And people will say, was he a package deal with Donovan Edwards, who committed on signing day in fall of 2021? The class with J.J. McCarthy was a 5-star running back, a big-time get for Jim Harbaugh at that time when they're coming off that 2-4 season. Did Jim Harbaugh promise him this job in the coaching staff just to get Donovan Edwards? I don't know, but it seems probable. He's been Michigan's wide receiver coach now for 3 seasons, and can you say that this wide receiver group has performed at all? Outside of Roman Wilson the first 5 or 6 games of 2023, I think the wide receiver group has stunk under Ron Bellamy, and frankly, the current group we have now is not playing at Big Ten football level. I would say there's probably half of the MAC that has a more productive, better performing wide receiver group than the University of Michigan currently has. And that's why I think that Ron Bellamy is on the hot seat. How about Semaj Morgan, though? This, I don't want to be people like, don't pick on a kid. He's just a kid. Give him time. Well, he's not just a kid. He's been playing every single game since he was a true freshman, and he's been starting for 2 years. I think the Semaj Morgan experiment just needs to start. He is a returning starter. He is a junior. He's an upperclassman. 5 catches for 52 yards through 2 weeks, right? 4 of them were last week, right? 10 yards per carry, and if you take out his biggest one, he's getting or not carry per catch, he's getting 5-6 yards per catch. They're all bubble screens. They're all little pop passes. He cannot go downfield. Other than maybe that one against J.J. McCarthy where he kind of had to turn around and catch the ball like this, in 2023, I can't tell you a single downfield catch he's had in his entire career. I understand the wide receiver group last year, the quarterback group last year was awful, was abysmal, was the worst maybe in Big Ten history. But as a starting wide receiver for 13 games, and he may have been injured for 1 or 2 of those, 139 yards receiving in a season for a starting wide receiver, that is preposterous, folks. We're talking about, if he played all 13, which I can't remember if he did, we're talking about 10.1 yards per game receiving, not per catch, per game. And 45 of those came against Texas. You take that out, the rest of the season, games 3 to 13, he had, 94 yards, 96 yards, whatever it is. And that's just not cutting it. 3-punt returns for 6 yards this year. So you're not getting it done as a sweep guy. You're not getting it done as a receiver. You're not getting it done as a punt returner. What is the deal with Semaj Morgan. Why do they keep putting him on field? I think that Michigan needs to make the decision to move on from him. If you want to put him in there for gadget plays, if you want to put him there as a kick returner, punt returner, I guess, although remember back to the Rose Bowl in 2023, why did Michigan almost have the most preposterous and heartbreaking loss in college football history, even worse than the Michigan State trouble with the snaps? Is because they didn't trust Semaj Morgan to catch the damn ball, so they had to put in walk-on Jake Thaw, who himself made a bad decision and kept trailing back, fumbled the ball at the 5, picked it up at the 1-yard line. I think it's time for new faces at wide receiver for this program. Let's take a look at the Pro Football Focus grades. McCulley and Goodwin seem to be in there in every single play, right? Channing Goodwin, the redshirt freshman, sophomore. I can't remember if we said he redshirt last year or not. McCulley had a pretty good game. Had that one long pass snagged off the defender's helmet. Why is he not getting more downfield passes? I don't know yet. 68.3 grade. But look at it from there, right? Channing Goodwin, 56.6. Semaj Morgan, 54.4 in there for 13 passing snaps and 10 running snaps. The transfer Simpson from UMass is in there for a couple. Nothing really to shake out there. Andrew Marsh, true freshman, 1 snap in there on a passing down. And then Kendrick Bell was in there for 1 snap as well, just for a run. So the grades aren't there for this squad. The production is not there for this group of wide receivers, and I think you just need to stick with McCulley and Goodwin as your outside guys. Give Fred Moore, give Marsh, give somebody a try at that slot position because Semaj Morgan is not getting it done. And I'll say one more thing on this to the people who don't think you can criticize college football players. That ended 4 years ago, in my opinion, right? I'm not going to call them jerks or assholes or insults like that. You can criticize their play. You can criticize their output. You can criticize their effort. The reason why Semaj Morgan's making over $250,000 this year in NIL money. When he's all said and done, if he stays 4 years at Michigan, he will make over $1 million to be a Michigan football player. If players don't want to face criticism, don't want their performance to be talked about on the internet, like people like me, people like you, then maybe they should decline the NIL money. They should go play a different sport. But if you're going to play football at Michigan, 2 years off a national championship, and you've got 5 catches through 4 games, and 4 of them were against New Mexico, you better toughen up and take the criticism when it comes if you're not going to put some stats out there on the field. Which of these coaches is under more pressure? Give me a G if it's Grant Newsome and R if it's Ron Bellamy. I'm going to go G for now. But we'll see how things shake out as Michigan has a Central Michigan game coming up. It's a noon game on Saturday, and then they've got to travel to Nebraska, who hasn't looked bad at all through their first 2 games. Tomorrow's show, guys, I'm going to update you on injuries. We got maybe Marlon Klein we got last week. We got several injured players, including talking about Rod Moore and his expected return. Updates on the team, the depth chart, and there is a rat within the Michigan football alumni. A former player who was in the media got outed by one of his coworkers big time over the weekend. Didn't have enough cell signal to kind of tell you guys more about it at the game on Saturday, but I'm going to definitely expose what he's been up to coming up tomorrow. Till then, go Blue.